I think we are in an entirely new era of digital transformation fueled by Gen AI. Is technology is already improving how businesses operate and how humans interact with one another. It's changing the way doctors care for patients. It's changing the way people communicate and even the way workers are kept safe on the job. And, Gareth, this is just the beginning.
We have been so lucky to interview some incredible female tech leaders over the last couple of years, and this is right up there with the best. Helen Kelisky is the Managing Director for the UK region at Google Cloud, and furthermore is a philanthropist, a women in tech advocate, and an all-round seasoned operator in the world of cloud and software. Her insight was absolutely fascinating. We covered the nuances of leadership, the landscape of global digital transformation, what sets Google apart, and we also have a contemplation on how the evolution of generative AI will impact major players in the cloud industry over the coming years. Helen was a joy to chat to. She's recently been named in the Computer Weekly Top 50 Most Influential Female Tech Leaders in the UK, along with a couple of other ex-guests, may I add. There's no surprise as to why that's happened. Helen is absolutely brilliant. Helen Kelisky, I am so excited to get you onto the Tech Leaders podcast. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you, Gareth.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We always start with this one. You've held leadership positions in companies like Salesforce, OpenText, and most recently Google Cloud. What does good leadership mean to you, Helen?
Oh, I think it means quite a number of things. I'd say a good leader, to my mind, puts themselves in service of their team rather than presiding. It's important that I am able to make everyone within my organization do their best work. They are not in service of me. There's only one of me. So I am in service of them. So very important to be in service of them and not to preside. I think it's important to support your team, to give feedback and invite feedback back, right? Be prepared for that and promote a continued desire to learn. I think also something that's very important is a good sense of humor.
Always helps.
Yes, always helps in a number of ways. And a good leader is one that makes their team feel safe so they're able to create and thrive and be innovative. But also you've got to find that balance between warmth and edge. Right. So a good leader needs to be able to fuel a sense of belonging, but also get the job done. So ensuring that everyone is doing what they ought to do, not just what they want to do. Always raises alarm bells with me if a leader is liked by everyone over a long period of time, because it makes me question if they're leading in the right way. What you want to be is respected, which doesn't always mean, in my view, doesn't always being liked by everybody.
Have you got any examples of somebody or some historical figure in the public domain who people would know about, who you look up to in a leadership sort of context at all?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
It can be a literary character if you like, Helen. I just wondering if you've got any examples.
Oh, I think there's some heroes in movies. I'm a big movie buff, and you only have to think of movies like Gladiator, where
you're talking.
Where the hero, the protagonist, is not always like that makes the story, because actually they're making the difference and they're changing the outcome.
No, absolutely. I really keen. That's the first time I've heard we've asked this question. But 84 times, I think. And a really interesting point about it's suspicious if a leader is liked by everyone. I've never really thought about it like that, but it is absolutely true. I think of Alex Ferguson. I mean, people did like him.
Perfect example.
People did like him, but they absolutely feared him. These players were terrified of him. So, by default, he was respected. It's a really interesting topic. I could go on all day on specifically that one question. But let's maybe move on. I noticed you got nominated number 39 in the Computer Weekly's Most Influential Women in Tech in 2023. I reckon you'll be in the top 10 next year, Helen, but that is an amazing achievement.
Thank you, Gareth.
What I was going to say, I think we did chat about this beforehand, but I think women in tech is becoming closer and closer to just the norm. It's not this sort of unique thing anymore. Why do you think less women enter the tech industry than men? What do you think the reason is for that at the moment, Helen?
Well, what I'd start with saying, I've been in this industry over a generation. Gosh, that sounds like a long time, doesn't it? And we have come a long way. I think some women are put off just by the thought of it, maybe because they think they have to be technical, and you don't. There are technical jobs and there are non-technical jobs. And I think everyone has got more technical and happy with tech as the years have gone by anyway. I think also the industry could do, and I think is doing, a better job at recruiting in a way which is more inclusive, helping create an environment that thrives on, inclusivity
Yeah.
and diversity. One of the reasons I love living in London is because it's such a diverse place to be.
Oh, yes.
And
it is indeed.
I think the industry is getting better at doing that, but these things take time. And so there's still a way to go.
No, there absolutely is. But we are going in the right direction, aren't we?
We are. And as you say, when we don't have to have awards for women, and we don't have to have awards dinners for women, and we don't have to talk about it, we can just talk about people in tech, then we know we've got that. And that's the end goal. That's what I'd like to see.
100%. That. People in tech awards with women winning an equal share of the awards. Do you know what I mean? Across,
Absolutely
that's
right,
where we
Gareth.
need to get to, isn't it? I've got 2 daughters, and I'm suspicious that we still subconsciously and intentionally nudge young females towards stereotypical traditional careers, like I said, unintentionally. And maybe we need to look at that from that sort of grassroots level.
Gareth, you have the perfect opportunity to change it. You are one of the, you're in a key position at having, given that you have 2 daughters, to make a real difference there. And I think some of it is, the fathers that have daughters that is really going to help continue to drive this.
Yeah, I feel under pressure already. Thanks for that, Helen. But yeah, I will.
Not putting you on the hook or anything.
You are a good leader, aren't you? You got me. I get a performance manager me already. But yeah, no, absolutely. I do agree with you. I think it is about confidence, isn't it? And I think it comes from the family, it comes from the home, doesn't it? I mean, we need young women to aim for the top, and they need positive role models like you. So, So, look, Helen, can we, for the listeners who don't know of yourself, they obviously would have heard of Google Cloud and would know about Google Cloud. Can you talk us through your formative years? Maybe what did you want to be when you grew up? Can you tell us about that early part of your career?
Just to recap, so my name's Helen Kelisky. I am Managing Director of Google Cloud for UK and Ireland. I've been in tech sales leadership for more than 30 years. And been in running cloud businesses for many years. I have a degree in business from Middlesex University, and I also have a diploma in market research. What I do outside work is also really important. So I love to travel, although the recent pandemic has sort of held me back somewhat. But I have this goal to visit 100 countries, and I'm at 51, Gareth. Right?
Oh, wow.
So I've got to get on with it.
That's a great goal, by the way. I'm actually going to steal that 100. I'm such I love traveling myself.
Love to play the piano. I used to play it when I was younger, and then I took it back up during COVID. Love playing the piano and swim and run. And I've even run a half marathon. I think I might consider carefully whether I ever run another one. But that was good. And I also love movies, which we touched on. So formative years. So maths was my favourite subject in school. I loved anything to do with numbers. But I also enjoyed the social aspect of learning, making new friends, experiencing new things with them. And because of this, I knew I needed to do something varied and interesting that involved interacting with other people and learning from them. And I'm constantly looking to learn from everyone in my life, my team, my customers, my partners, my children, my husband. I always have this saying, every day is a learning day. And I joined the world from tech straight from university. When I graduated, I wanted a career in an industry that was fast paced and would give me the opportunity to keep learning at speed. And I thought the tech industry seems to be a good place to go. And I've never looked back, really, Gareth.
Yeah, sure. So can you tell us about your first opportunity then? How did you get into the tech sector?
It was a good one. I went to work for IBM and, stayed for 30 years. But, there was a time when it was the right decision to leave. And then I went to join Salesforce. and then I've eventually ended up in Google Cloud. And I always look to go to places where, if I'm given the opportunity, where I feel I can make a difference.
What are the important milestones do you look back on now and think, well, that was definitely a milestone? Maybe, and what hardships as well and lessons did you learn along the way?
One of the standout milestones of my career was actually leaving a company after 3 decades. And I think while there are many benefits of building a career in a single organization, leaving it can be a little daunting. But embracing change is sometimes necessary. In order, I talk about my continued desire to learn and grow, and that's important. And sometimes it was just time. So, since taking the leap from IBM to Salesforce and now Google Cloud, I've learned new skills, witnessed new innovations, discovered new interests, every step of the way. And that's really important to me. One thing I also learned early on is to take a job where you feel you can make the biggest difference and learn the most. And that doesn't mean taking a job where it's the most popular or, other people may not want that job, but you take it and it gives you an opportunity and you make it yours. And that's a really good thing to be able to do as well. I think what you put in is always going to be reflective of what you get out.
100%.
And, it's all about finding new opportunities to continue to learn and again about having a growth mindset. One challenge I did face that always sticks with me as a leader was being asked by my leader at the time to let someone go. And I really didn't agree with this request or decision. And it really would have gone against my values as a leader and as a colleague. And I actually refused and discussed the issue with her. So I sought help from another person I respected in the organization to help me manage my way through it. And it was a very uncomfortable experience because I was going against my boss, but it actually, I worked a way through it, and it taught me to stick to my values and seek help from those around me when I need it and be true to myself. And I think also sometimes you need to take personal risk to be a leader.
100%.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
And I think, you've touched on this, Gareth, but experiences that are smooth sailing aren't necessarily the ones that stick with you months or years later. It's the hiccups that you encounter along the way that you learn most from, that you remember, and then you can apply that learning going forward.
Yeah, 100%. I think sports coaches and managers say it all the time, don't they? I mean, you don't learn too much from your victories, but you learn a lot from your losses. You kind of win or you learn, don't you? And it's the same in your career. I think it's the hardships that teach you the lessons. I'm sure there's probably a stoic quote to back that up, but but yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I think it totally resonates. Can I ask you about culture? Because you've worked at some of the most, I would argue, probably the most impactful company in the ever in the tech sector, or it's arguably anyway. I mean, which is IBM. You were there for a long time. Salesforce, very disruptive organization as well, and then obviously Google most recently. Let's maybe start with IBM. What did you the culture of IBM? What lessons did you take from that experience that you took forward into your other companies?
I think the training I received in IBM and working with brilliant people and dealing with, IBM was a massive company, and dealing with all sorts of different companies and sizes of companies and countries and complexities was an incredible experience, and worked with some great people. So learned a lot. It was foundationally very, very good for me, and I loved the company. Salesforce, great company, very, very sales and marketing oriented, enormous fun, super ambitious, just a real fun, very sales oriented company. Google has an amazing culture in that it's got this incredible learning culture. And I keep talking, I know I keep mentioning the word learning, but I'm going to movies, Gareth. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Avatar.
I have indeed. I love that movie. I haven't seen the second one, but I've seen the first one.
The first one's all you need.
Yeah.
And there's a saying, Moat, who is the heroine's mother, says to the hero, she says, "It is hard to fill a cup that is already full." And I would say in Google, no one's cup is near full. And what I mean by that is everyone is keen to learn. Everyone is keen to help. Everyone understands that you fail fast, you learn, you move on. And I think it's quite a unique, precious culture. It's really important. And you kind of you get used to it. You almost sort of take it for granted until maybe you're meeting with other companies, as I do, and you think and they ask you, what's the secret of the Google culture? What is Google's culture? And it's explaining it to them.
Yeah, I mean, some of the most disruptive, I should call it, software applications ever have come obviously from Google, but have come from this legendary innovative culture they got there, isn't it? Like things like Google Maps, Google Pay, it's come from side projects that the staff have knocked up, isn't it? And isn't it like 1 or 2 days a week they focus on their own project or something?
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that, but
20% project. But it's like, I mean, if you just have to talk about AI, I mean, it's important to remember that Sundar Pichai, our CEO, announced that we were an AI first company back in 2016.
Nobody was really talking about AI in the mainstream then, were they?
They weren't. No. And we've got a long history of bringing AI innovation to enterprises and to consumers. We embed them into every element of cloud. We embed them into YouTube search, which is used by billions of people.
The sort of the culture of Google to sort of stay on the cutting edge of things. Maybe this is a good segue into AI, because I was going to ask you about this anyway, Helen. How does the rise of AI, how do you think that impacts your role at Google Cloud?
I suspect it will accelerate the move to cloud even more than it'll speed it up, because you can't really take advantage of AI or Gen AI unless you're in the cloud. So I think it will accelerate companies' digital transformation plans. I think that is true. Yeah, I think we're embedding, as I said, AI into all our products and have done. We will be helping and are starting to help even and helping customers make the most of AI and Gen AI. We're helping customers such as L'Oreal. We're helping all sorts of customers. I mean, more than half of the Gen AI startups headquartered in the UK use Google Cloud. So it's almost the sky's the limit, Gareth, in terms of the use cases and the problems and the opportunities that we discuss with customers and how AI and Gen AI can help them. So it's an incredibly exciting time.
I can imagine. How excited or fearful are you, Helen? Do you think we're going to have loads of people out of work replaced by AI, or how do you see it? What's your take on that?
So, if you look at, there's a big dearth of digital skills in the UK market now. Yeah. So there's massive opportunity for jobs in that area, in this area now. I see that jobs evolve, and they have done forever, right? And they will continue to evolve. I think the thing I would say is AI won't take your job, but someone who understands how to use AI may take your job if you don't.
I've heard that line. That is absolutely spot on, really, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. It's such an enormous advantage for a person, a reasonable, an intelligent person who's good at their job. You put an AI layer on top of it, and they become infinitely more productive. It's such a force, isn't it? To be reckoned with. So maybe moving the emphasis back to Google Cloud then. So can you talk us through what problems Google Cloud are trying to solve right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, Google, is here. And by the way, Google is 25 years old this year. So happy birthday to us. So Google is here to make information universally accessible to all. And that was our mission that was laid out 25 years ago. Yeah. We have a similar mission here in Google Cloud, but for businesses. So our goal really is to create a cloud where users can operate as simply as possible. That enables them to drive insights and value for their business, Gareth. So the overall proposition a mission of Google Cloud is simple. It's to accelerate the digital transformation of every organization. We serve customers in more than 200 countries. We solve critical business challenges across industries from governments to gaming. And, we're at a very exciting time. Last year, we welcomed Mandiant to the Google Cloud family. It's a recognized industry leader. And Mandiant is what Mandiant is doing is adding critical capabilities to complement our existing Google Cloud security portfolio. So,
Right.
and our aim is to offer an end-to-end security solution for our customers. And then we had Next London earlier this month in Tobacco Dock, and we celebrated the fact that over 40 of the FTSE 100 companies are Google Cloud customers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and as I think I mentioned before, more than half of the Gen AI startups headquartered in the UK are Google Cloud customers. We also announced really exciting partnership with the likes of BT, Gymshark, Unilever, Formula E, who are taking the next step on their AI journey with us and using our tools and services. So really exciting.
Because obviously you entered a marketplace which was dominated by two juggernauts, and obviously Google is a juggernaut in its own right. But I suppose you've been chipping away at market share for some time now, yeah? But I'm quite surprised by those numbers. You've made some enormous strides in the last couple of years, I suppose. Is that what was the sort of stimulus for that then, do you think? Why are you taking so much market share off the other two cloud providers?
Well, I think, there are a few core areas that I'd say set Google Cloud apart and why organizations decide to work with us. Yeah. I'd say firstly, we have a unified data and AI platform, which means customers can really easily unlock the potential of their data to innovate faster and at scale. And I'll give you an example. So earlier this year, Oxa, which is an autonomous vehicle software developer, tapped into our AI and data analytics to test and validate its self-driving technology, supporting the global uptake of autonomous vehicles in different industries. We have a modern infrastructure cloud, so this helps businesses and governments build quickly and securely and cost effectively using AI-optimized, purpose-built infrastructure. So on average, a Google Cloud data center is 1.5 times as energy efficient as a typical enterprise data center. And we have lofty ambitions. We aim to run our data centers and campuses worldwide on 24/7 carbon-free energy by 2030. And we're on our way. Yeah. The other thing is we have AI-powered features in Workspace that are really helping more than 3 billion users do their best work across devices and locations. I got very excited about this, Gareth, as you can imagine. We announced recently that AI can actually attend a meeting for you and take notes.
That is
I think we'd all love to have fewer meetings. One of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have someone to do podcasts for you, actually.
There you go. Who knows? I just wanted to mention security because it's just so important that, we've spent 25 years keeping people safe online, and we save, we're building and we've built a set of offerings that really can save customers and companies a lot of money. It's very expensive and difficult to hire security talent. And we continue to invest to progress to our North Star, which is what we call invisible security. So making it very pervasive and simple for everybody.
Security is such such a big topic at the moment, isn't it? I mean, certainly with everything going on in the world, I think it's something that we have to be so mindful of going forward. Can I ask you about Mandiant? I know it was an acquisition recently. Can you tell me a little bit about Mandiant, the driver for the acquisition, and what the product, just a little bit about the product?
Yeah, I mean, Mandiant, we really felt that Mandiant was a key acquisition for us to, as I said, to complete our security portfolio, our security offerings, so that we can get to our North Star, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
Really, it's all about threat detection and actually helping customers to make sure that they are safe and that their data is safe. And Mandiant work with companies and organizations across the world, and their reputation is second to none. With a very few people, they can turn up and really, really give incredible advice and help companies get back on their feet, or ideally avoid any security breaches. Security has always been really important to Google, right? So it's important now from a Google Cloud perspective, but it's always been critically important to Google for the last 25 years or more. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, what innovation are you most excited about at the moment then, Helen? What tech innovation are you most excited about that Google are working on right now?
So I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm really excited about the next step for cloud computing, if you like. The market's been through at least 3 iterations since the start of my career with cloud. The first being, it was about cost cutting and saving money, and then it was about agility and the ability to really respond to business, tech responding to business needs. Then it's been about unlocking the value of data to drive better and more timely decision making. I think today, really what makes me excited is it's about simplicity, and it's about driving constant innovation in data security and sustainability,
Yeah.
and making each of those as simple as possible. I mean, we can't talk about the future of cloud really without considering the impact of AI. We unveiled a new technology called Duet AI in May. It's basically introducing powerful features across workspace and showcasing developer features such as code and chat assistant in Google Cloud.
Yeah.
And at this year's Google Cloud Next, which was in San Francisco in August, we went a step further and we're expanding the capabilities, integrating it across a range of products and services throughout Workspace and Google Cloud. So it's quite exciting what Duet AI can do. I mean, I've already mentioned that it can attend meetings on your behalf, which is top of the list for me. It can write emails for you. It can draft content in documents with Virtual Assistant. It can enhance sound and video on Google Meet. It can contextualize data and provide quick summaries. It can summarize and classify threat information for security. We've got customers already realizing the benefit of this. I mentioned L'Oreal earlier, but L'Oreal are using it to help them make better and faster decisions for their data.
Yeah.
And they're reporting engineering productivity gains of 1/3. Yeah, so not insignificant. I think we are in an entirely new era of digital transformation fueled by Gen AI. This technology is already improving how businesses operate and how humans interact with one another. It's changing the way doctors care for patients. It's changing the way people communicate, and even the way workers are kept safe on the job. And, Gareth, this is just the beginning.
Imagine how good it's going to be in, say, 5 years, let alone 10 years, Can I just tell you what my dream is? Okay, this is how sad I am, right? So basically, when it comes to AI and all the things you have just described, I would be absolutely delighted if I could sort of, my working day starts, I log in and I've got my digital assistant who basically has responded to my emails that came in while I was still sleeping, and also have put in front of me what my day looks like and suggested when I have a break, and I just basically have this like curated, like I said, almost like human like assistant who can just govern my day. You don't have to attend this meeting, I will attend for you and I'll just take notes. So you take a break then, but you need to be focused for this meeting because it's important. That type of efficiency driven assistant, you know what I mean? That has to be, surely that's going to be possible soon.
Who knows? It may not be very far away at all. I think some of this also will be, what do people want? Do people want that? And
well, I do.
What's the Well, that's a start, Gareth.
Yeah.
That's a start. So who knows? It may not be far away at all.
We're kind of already there in many respects. I know there are, like the summary thing that you touched upon is incredible, isn't it? If I go onto a website, or let's say a website's not a good example. Let's say a blog. There's a big blog. I got 2 minutes until my meeting, and I want to read this blog. And the fact that it can read it for you and summarize it and give you the top bits that are likely to be of interest. I mean, that's an incredible sort of innovation right there for someone who's in a rush, isn't it? So I think things like that are just really exciting.
Almost there, Gareth.
So look, I just wanted to go back to yourself then. So you're a very busy person, Helen. You've got lots lots going on in your professional career. Certainly, you're obviously leading a big team. You got lots of conversations to have and things. How do you stay? Two things: how do you stay productive, okay, and on top of your game on a regular basis? But how do you stay organized, and how do you achieve balance in your life?
A number of things. One is morning exercise. So I like to run or swim if I possibly can. Staying in the moment, so being present.
Brilliant, yeah, sure.
And a good night's sleep.
Very
I think
underrated.
those are sort of three quite foundational things for me, fundamental things. You need to start and end the day in the right way and make sure you're present throughout. I think that's what
absolutely.
I would say.
No, that's brilliant advice.
And have interests outside of work as well. I think it gives you more perspective and I think helps decision making.
We talked earlier on, I asked you about if you were inspired by anyone on the leadership front, but just in a more generic context, okay? If you could have a coffee with anyone, let's say a half an hour meeting with anyone in the world, we can chuck in people who have passed on as well, if you like, so historical characters included. Who would you choose and why?
Can I have two?
You can indeed, Helen. You can definitely take two, as long as they're good ones.
Okay, well, you can decide. My first one would be Keanu Reeves.
Wow, that's a good, interesting choice.
I love the movie The Matrix, and I would love to be his Trinity.
Oh, great movie, I have to say.
It is a great movie. On a more serious note, I think Queen Elizabeth I, so I'm glad you said I could have someone who had already passed. My view, she broke with tradition. She didn't marry. She was a trailblazer and she ruled for 45 years. That's not bad. And that's a long career as a leader. So
100%. Yeah. In a time when queens were not particularly prevalent anywhere. So, I mean, that was an unbelievable feat. Certainly how she was... how her life began. You know what I mean? Because obviously she was just a disappointment because Henry VIII wanted a boy, and then for her to turn into this, probably the greatest Tudor of all, arguably, was as an incredible story, isn't it? So,
really incredible.
Fantastic choices. I really like those. And I have to say, The Matrix, one of the most impactful cultural films, certainly that come out of the 90s, I think. Just incredible across the board. I'm really with you on that one, by the way, Helen. That's a brilliant choice. Looking back now, and I know you've got a long way to go, and loads of exciting things ahead. Certainly, it feels like we're in the dawn of AI, and I'm sure you're going to be heavily involved in Google's strategy around that, certainly Google Cloud. But looking back on your career, what advice would you give to that person who joined IBM all those years ago when you started your career? What advice, knowing what you know now, what would you say to that person, Helen?
I would tell myself to make the most of every day, to not be afraid to make mistakes. Time speeds up as you get older. So fail fast and learn from it. I would also say treat others the way you would like to be treated. This is the most vital career advice I would ever give. This applies, I think, to both life and business equally. It's an important trait for everyone aiming for success. Every sector and profession depends on interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
And ambition should never come at the expense of empathy, respect, and open communication. And finally, I say trust is foundational and a thread that should run through everything you do. I'm sorry, not quite final. This is final. Make time for charity work too. It makes you feel grateful for what you have. It's good to give back.
Absolutely. Can I ask you about your charity work then? And also as well, I haven't really gone in on this. Great answers, by the way, but I just wanted to make sure we cover your work with the WiTT, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And also promoting diversity and inclusion in the tech industry, and also any other sort of outside of work commitments, things, certainly charitable commitments. What are you involved with, Helen?
So I'll start with that first. So I belong to a charity called Mellon Educate. And Mellon Educate was started by a guy called Niall Mellon, who was a property developer, but he now builds or renovates schools in South African townships. And every year he takes a group of 300 people and we go out to Cape Town and we spend a week in a township renovating. We split across a couple of primary schools and we renovate those schools. And it is one of the most uplifting experiences
That sounds amazing.
You can have. Yeah. So we're doing this. So it's front of mind because actually we go in the middle of November. We're going to go. So that's an incredible thing to do, and to see the joy on the children's faces when they get to see their renovated school is just unbelievable.
We will put that on the show notes. That sounds fantastic. And how frequently do you?
It's annually, and it stopped for a few years because of the pandemic. But no, it's a fabulous thing to go and do.
Oh wow, that sounds like a fantastic venture. How long have you been involved with that?
Since 2018. And WiTT, Women in Telco Technology, is I've been involved with for the last at least 10 years. And we're a networking group that really is there to inspire other women to get into tech and to build their networks and to learn. So we hold events about once every 6 weeks for our network. We have a network of about 2,000 people, 2,000 women. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I think that's amazing. I mean, I have one final question, Helen. Okay, so it's just about, we love a book. I know you love a movie as well, so we can chuck that in instead if you prefer. Can you please give us a book or maybe an anecdote or a story or anything you've been inspired by recently? Recommendation.
So books, I'd say the first one is Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. Important book for anyone. It offers a real accessible way of understanding how leaders can unpack their own self-deceptions and destructive patterns to improve, the way they work and the way they lead. I think it really helps you put a mirror up to yourself, which I think is important. The other one another one I like is The Tipping Point, Malcolm Gladwell's book.
Oh, yeah, great book. Read that, yeah.
Looks at social dynamics that lead to rapid change, like sudden drops in crime or mass consumer trends. Just find it really, really interesting. And then finally, a book called Factfulness, 10 Reasons We're Wrong About the World and Why Things Are Better Than You Think. So it's quite an uplifting book. And that's by Hans Rosling and Ola Rosling and Anna Rosling.
Oh, okay. I've not come across that one. I'll check that out.
It's quite a powerful book. I mean, there's a tendency in today's world, as we know, to always focus on the doom and gloom. But this book talks about how everything isn't quite as bad as we think. And actually, we're on we're really on an improving trajectory in terms of people's lives.
I'd say so. Yeah, of course. You compare the way the world is now to what I know. There's a lot of problems, but I mean, you look back 50 years. I mean, there was so many more people in poverty as a percentage of global population. There was less women working in the technology sector. There was less. Everything was just a lot worse. Everything. So I mean, I think we have a lot more to be optimistic about than most people realize. So yeah, it's a great point to end on. Helen, thank you so much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed coming on the Tech Leaders podcast.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, Gareth.
Wow, what a great episode. Helen, another top 50 most influential women in tech, named by Computer Weekly just recently, actually. Brilliant book recommendations. There was so much to draw attention to there. Absolutely amazing. I think a lot of it, most of it speaks for itself. And I think the one thing that stood out for me there was how seriously Google Cloud are taking AI. I'm sure it's the same with AWS and Azure. AI is clearly the core focus is within the core focus of everything that the major cloud vendors are doing right now. That was the thing that stood out for me. Was Helen brought it up a couple of times and prompted. So yeah, I think if there was ever any evidence that AI is the future of these cloud products, I think that was certainly it. Fantastic episode. Thank you so much for downloading the Tech Leaders podcast. Please give us a like, a subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Our goal is to continue to create great content for you. So please download, subscribe, engage. Every little helps. Thank you so much.